Yeah. That's like, yeah. Mic it up. Lift in the life.
Hey everyone, welcome to the first episode of GMF Mic'd Up, Lifting in Life, the Roundtable. I'm your host, Fawaz. It's the podcast where we bring our passion for natural bodybuilding, lifting heavy, living fully, and everything in between. So pull up a chair. We're very lucky to have with us today at the Roundtable someone who's flown in from Melbourne. He's here to co-host the posing workshop for the NBA Masterclass, if I'm not mistaken, and he is a trailblazer of the sport. He has started, he's one of the co-founders and directors of the Natural Bodybuilding Association. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you so much. This is it's probably one of the only times that I've been introduced on a podcast, so I'm grateful for that, because it's normally me opening up all the NBA shows, as because I MC all the shows as well. Yeah. So it's always me doing the intros and introducing everybody else. So
well, we tried
I feel very honoured and grateful that as part of this first episode, that's my first intro too.
Wow.
So
okay. Well,
it seems a fitting way to start the episode.
Well, we're really happy that you're here with us, and we're looking forward to the chat today.
So am I.
On the other side of the roundtable, we have a pioneer of the NBA as an NBA athlete. She is the founder of the Posing Queens, and the person who was the driving force behind bringing the Mommas Division to the NBA. Shez, welcome.
Hello. I have to say this yo-yo just for the first episode, because if I don't do it, the guys will be like, why didn't you say yo-yo? Background story, short context. First time we were just, hanging out, doing our thing. I got introed and yo-yo.
Yep.
So,
that was the first words out of her mouth.
First words that came out.
She just sat there and she just said yo-yo.
Yo-yo.
Yeah, well, I almost dropped a rhyme on that intro. I could have started that. I could have just started with yo-yo as well.
Yeah.
So. Hey,
that's to break the ice.
Let's chew on that as the episode goes on.
Rounding off the roundtable, we have my good friend and co-host, Coach Ray.
Thank you very much. I'm excited to be here. It's an honor to be on the roundtable with such esteemed guests and speakers. And I hope everybody enjoys.
Well, let's get started. Michael, my first question to you. As a person who's starting off his natural bodybuilding journey and seeing there's so many federations out there, why would I want to compete with the NBA? What makes NBA unique?
Well, I think there's a lot of things that make NBA unique. I think if you're a first-time competitor, you're really relying on outside noise, what you're hearing from people that have competed that people in the gym, particularly, your coaches and your posing coaches for sure. I think as a coach myself, one of the things that, I say to my athletes, and I still coach a lot of athletes to this day, is, try all federations and see what it is really that you like, because they are all different, and not just in how they do things. For us, our biggest thing is around the production, the quality, and I suppose the stage part of what being an athlete and a competitor is, where we are there to put on a show. We're not just there to stand on a stage and compete against each other. It's to really put on a show for the crowd. So that's always going to be the focus for us. And I think if you look at our photography, our videography, if you look at our stages, if you look at our venues, it's probably the biggest thing. If you look at our venue bill from last year, I would wonder if there's another Fed that's even remotely close to what our venue bill was last year. But that's for a reason. It's because, when we, joined and took part in NBA, we already had full-time jobs. I've got a gym in Melbourne. I coach. The boys all coach. It wasn't a priority for us to pick things that were going to financially suit us. It was about how can we just provide something that is exceptional, where people walk away and be like, "Oh, that was a really, really great day," and then they're talking about it for forever. And if you look at most people's Instagram photos who have competed with NBA, it's probably either on the front box or the back box on stage, where they're just about to be called by me, where the smoke's just coming out. And that's not a coincidence. It's because the amount of time that goes into making sure that the stage looks a certain way. sometimes it takes Charles 3-4 hours. I'm talking about Charles Lothian, who's our incredible photographer, who's been across. He's done the Olympias. Sometimes it takes him 4 hours to get that light absolutely perfect, and we don't start the show until he says he's good to go.
I completely appreciate, a situation like that as a person who's coming from a background who's done theater, I've directed shows, the effort that goes into actually having a proper show where you can get everything and everyone hits their marks, making sure that they hit their marks because it's a live situation, right? And you got to pivot as you go. So let me ask you as a follow-up, what was the moment or when was the moment that you realized that natural bodybuilding was not just something that was a part of your life, but was who you are? Again, the passion that you talk about the shows, it reflects, it's something very deeply ingrained in you. So do you have any memory of when was that moment, that aha moment where it clicked that this is what I want to do for the rest of my life?
Oh, there's so many. I mean, I could go super, super deep back here. I remember the first time that I knew that being a physique-driven person was going to be part of my life forever. And I started training in the gym like really young, in my early teens, but it wasn't until I was about 16 or 17. I've told this story on a podcast before, but I was going to a commercial gym in Melbourne that was, it was one of the chains, but it was one of the smaller chains with red equipment. And I remember I was a 16-year-old, right? And I was wearing a pair of shorts and a singlet and a t-shirt. And I remember walking in and there were these two guys standing at the front, and they would have been in their early 20s. They were sitting on the bench at the front, and they weren't training at that gym, but they made a comment to me, something like they were making fun and laughing, something around like, you best be going in there to train legs today, like really, giving me a bit of stick, which I remember at the time I'm 40 now, so it was a long time ago, but I remember it stuck with me. And I remember going in there that session, and it was probably the first session ever where I left nothing on the table. And from that moment, I was like, I'm going to do whatever I can to make sure that I never walk anywhere and someone says, like, you're a stick, or you need to. So that's that first moment that I remember that it was always going to be something that I did. But my background, I was in the bank. I was a bank manager for nearly 14 years. But that whole time, I was in the sport, I was competing, and I was coaching people for free, basically, just for the love of it, people at the gym. So once I transitioned away from the bank into coaching full-time and opened up a gym, as soon as I went to my first show, I knew from that point on, I had to deliver something that was just like exceptional and that nobody had done before. And it took me a long time to get to that.
Yeah. When was your last competition?
My last competition as a competitor was in 2022, maybe.
You and I around the same time.
Yeah. So, and I'd probably started competing in 2015, maybe, 2016. And Michael Trimboli, who's one of the other directors of NBA. So we went to high school together, me and MT.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was one of the only people I remember in high school who was using the school gym, which was in like an old shed. At the bottom of the footy oval, back when we were in high school. So when I got into it seriously, I was like, I want to reach out to him. And
Nice.
Oh, well, that's amazing.
We've been best friends ever since. But I think from my first show, which was with a different federation, I remember walking away and being like, wow, this is pretty awesome. And then over the years, I started to notice that things started to change, and what I felt at that first show, what was being delivered, the quality, it was just starting to dip, and it was just, it felt very numbers focused. And it was at that time when I thought, I think we can do things better. And that's really, what we set out to do at the moment. So
Yeah.
That's awesome. Ches, question for you.
Yes.
As an NBA athlete and as an athlete at large, what is one of the trophies or moments in your journey as an athlete that stands out, something that just like was so memorable that whenever this question is asked, it just comes to your head?
The moment I returned, so I competed prior to having children, and I think MJ, you'd know this with your wife and you having two gorgeous girls recently. Like when you're a woman and you have those two children, you become a different woman. You're a mother. You've got so many responsibilities. But I remember to advocate around mothers is to step on stage, and I knew that was my return. So I competed prior to having children and then returning. And then when I knew I returned being a mother, it was game over. Like that was my purpose. That was why I came back. That was why I introduced or what I advocated for NBA to say, hey, let's bring the Mommas or the swimsuit division. Because even then, yes, self-consciousness of like, yes, our physiques are different to just normal women who haven't had children. The swimsuit category had that emphasis of you can still show up and, you know, showcase something beautiful that you've worked really hard on with the extra responsibilities. So trophies and medals aside, it was more the title. The title was probably the one that felt I could win that title. And I represent a lot of the women out there that could also too have the opportunity to say, yeah, I would love to do that one day, and still do. So there's still women out there and even older than me that are still doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Michael, you can maybe give a little bit of context on how well the Momma Division was received once it actually started.
Yeah, like even just to give a bit of context around how big of an achievement it is, you know, just thinking about my wife at the moment and like knowing what you would have, you know, been going through at that time, having competed before and having looked a certain way and been able to do things with freedom and flexibility and train when you want and eat when you want to, you know, obviously it's the greatest thing in the world to have incredible children, but for a mother, you know, when your life is completely flipped on its head to the point where I'm sure there's some days you're like, could you just look after them so I can have a shower?
Yeah, literally.
Like before you even think about getting to the gym and then getting all your meal prep done, there's days where just washing yourself, you know, is a
having
battle.
clean hair.
Right? So like I'm sure there's sometimes weeks before you could wash your hair. Like so to see that, you know, firsthand and see, you know, my wife as an example who's just an incredible mother who's always been physique driven, you know, she's a clinical nutritionist and has always trained, to have to put that to the back to have this new priority, to know that, you know, then you're able to, you know, get back on stage and the work that must have gone into that, the shift that you would have had to have done logistically as well as psychologically, you know, when you've poured everything, and I'm sure that's never changed, you know, into your children and giving them every opportunity, but knowing that there's also a part of you that needs to do something for yourself to continue to be the greatest mum. And I know when I'm, you know, I always say at a show, it's like, now, next up, one of my favourite divisions of the day. So you hear me say that on the mic when I MC.
Correct.
And I get to sit side stage, you know, myself and Timsy, right before, you know, the Mommas Divisions walk out. And they are some of the most incredible competitors I've had the pleasure of meeting over the last 10 years. First of all, they listen side stage. You're never having to say, where's competitor 45 in the Mommas Division? Because they're already there.
So organised.
They're so organised. But to hear, you know, some of the stories and the journeys, we just had a beautiful lady who competed in Gold Coast who, you know, just had a battle with cancer, survived, and like what mums can do and just get on with the job and then throw bodybuilding into it as well and still find a way back to the stage. That's why it's such a freaking incredible accomplishment.
Yeah, I think like when you think about it, everyone says, oh, you know, women can do a lot. And then you think, oh, that's the peak. And then they go and they do this after becoming mothers. It's incredible, right?
Yeah.
So let's take a little bit of a pivot. Let's talk about the posing queens.
Yeah.
Okay. Shez, what was the concept behind the posing queens and what were you hoping to achieve by starting the posing queens?
Having myself pretty much attend every, you know, New South Wales show I could since 2013. Like I've been back literally from day dot and seeing the evolution of posing and women on stage and presentation. There was something missing. There was this level of presentation that hadn't or wasn't being met by the standard that the Federation was changing in or the direction of the presentation. So you could see that they worked very well on their physiques, but the presentation just lacked. And it was something I said, I'd love to do that. And I was doing that in-house for GMF athletes only. That was where my forte was. But then I realized, why couldn't I share this with other women? Because there are more women that would love this. And so that's where that kind of drive became opening the Posing Queens officially. And when I say officially, I've been doing this since, again, 2013, but I only opened it publicly 3 years ago, with having, again, being recognized in the industry. That's great, but I think it was more about also women wanting to learn from me, because every posing or every coach is different. So posing alone, and it can be taught differently. The individual, themselves can take on information differently in order to then bring out the best of them, which is what I think my job solely is just to bring the best out of that person on stage. So I was very fortunate finding that as something I enjoyed, which not many people have the detail for, let alone the skill to navigate different individuals as well.
So, Michael, how important is it, in your opinion, as from an NBA perspective, to have collaborations with, the startups and people like Shez and the Posing Queens, to prepare competitors to get onto stage? Because obviously you put in all of this effort into that, right?
Without a doubt. I mean, we have a certain standard and quality that we want on our stage, because it not only does it help the sport, the shows are better when people are presenting in the right way. A little like common denominator, if you look at what I said before about, coaching before actually being a coach, and you posing people before it actually being it's just a sign that, you were doing it because you truly do love it.
Enjoyed it,
And if you haven't been to one of Shez's group sessions or one-on-ones, there's a level of energy that she brings that is pretty hard to match, but without missing the details, which is really, really important. I've seen side stage a physique that I'm like, just while they're getting ready, like, whoa, she looks amazing. I cannot wait to see her on stage. And then not be as impressed because just not able to get in the right positions, maybe missing some of the rotation, maybe some, clavicle imbalances. And I've seen someone whose side stage looks good, but walks out and I'm like, what the, absolutely mind blown, because they know how to pose correctly. And then there's an element of, really elegant transitions that aren't overdone, but show off some of your key features and give the judges a little bit of a sample of what they're about to get in the poses that matter. And they're the key little intricacies, I think, sometimes that for those that don't think posing's that important, so, look at what I'm saying now. These are the things that have stuck with me as someone who does 30 shows a year, between what I run myself and go to. These are the things that, are really, really important to me. And the ones who nail that, you're automatically putting yourself, in that conversation. So as a federation, if we don't have those connections and those relationships, but they have to be with posing coaches that we trust and that we understand are going to, hold their athletes to the same standard that we want to see on stage, and keep up to date with changes. For example, bikini, we changed a few years ago that we just went to a half turn, which is, same as what you'd see in the Olympia. They need to transition and basically shift everything they've been teaching for however many years. So, being able to have that conversation and know that they're going to get on board with it and support it is important.
That's the evolution of bodybuilding as well. When they did change that half turn, the amount of women that actually advocated, oh my God, yes, this is fantastic. So this is another, again, for posing coaches to adapt and change as the federation is too. But it's such an amazing amazing opportunity for them to showcase.
Yeah, I like my favorite thing in the shows most of the time now is when it comes to the female divisions is I like to play a little game like guess the TPQ, based on their their posing elegancy and just the way they control the stage. And so I usually go up to Shez and I'm like, is that TPQ? And sometimes I get it right, sometimes I get it wrong, but it just shows to the quality of obviously having a posing coach.
There's a couple of coaches across Australia. There's probably 3 that I reckon I could pick their clothes.
Yeah, you can pick it.
Like,
There's a certain
for sure.
style. There's a nuance.
We all
got your
have a
flair.
style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a
Gotta be a signature.
signature.
It's a
Yeah,
signature.
signature.
It is. Yeah. Depending on what posing coach you choose and aligns with you as an individual, you can take on a little bit of that signature look,
Yeah.
and you can go, okay, that's where they're from. you
Yeah.
know, which is great.
But it's great.
You're an artist, right? And as an artist, whenever your work is there, there's going to be a signature that's involved, whether you're a film director, a music director, a musician. Whenever you listen to a certain kind of music, you know, oh, this is definitely his style or her style. And so it comes across.
Yep.
Michael, question. So the NBA, you were talking about, how things changed with the half turn. How do you incorporate feedback that comes from athletes on your shows and from future? Because I was listening to your podcast with the boys, and you were talking about how you integrate it, and it would be interesting to hear how that process actually works.
Yeah, so we actually have a couple of avenues. Because we're out in the each individual state, we go out, we run workshops like this. We take on a lot of feedback from coaches, from posing coaches, but we actually have on our website, we have a industry feedback form, which we brought out a couple of years ago, which was one of the great introductions that Michael Trimboli brought through. The half turns was also a Michael Trimboli thing. Like,
Nice.
We're open to industry advice because, yes, we're coaches, we're on the front line, we think we know a lot, but we don't know everything. And equally, sometimes, somebody else's opinion or a fresh set of eyes is really important. So people can actually go online and put unanimous feedback, whatever feedback they like. They can tell us what's great or they can tell us what's terrible about what we're doing.
Yeah.
And then we'll sit down and we'll actually have a look at it and go, okay, this has come up 3 times now. I used to work with a manager in the bank, and he used to have this saying. He's like, if there's 10 people that work with you and 9 of them say you smell, you probably smell. Right? So that's really stuck with me. It's like, if you're getting the same feedback over and over, hey, it's worth listening to. It might be true. And I think you need to be able to put your ego aside and say, hey, we've been doing it this way for a long time. It sounds like maybe there might be a better way. Let's try it. Let's give it a go. That's one thing that I feel like we've always been great at doing is if there's a better way, we'll listen and we'll implement it. And sometimes it's met with, a little bit of, as in the industry is used to doing everything the same way. But often if it's right, the noise stops after about a week. And
Yeah, I
it just
think-
becomes the new norm.
Yeah, I think that's like with anything. Like you have to be, when you started it as a trailblazer, you like you said, the quality was going down. You wanted something, start a federation that kept that level at that, high expectation that's there from both the athletes and from the federation. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Ches, question to you. When crafting the eye walks and posing routines, what is one of the key elements that you tell your clients and the athletes that they need to focus on to make a good routine exceptional?
When I work with an individual, one thing that comes to my mind first is how do you want them to feel when you step on stage? It's like putting on an outfit. It's like, how do you want to feel? So I always go by, how does that feel for you when you do this particular transition or this particular movement? Because if it doesn't resonate with them, how are they going to also build the confidence within to then showcase that?
Yeah.
So I go a lot about by feeling, not by just by what they look. Yes, I am following the criteria on, you have to rotate your posture, this, that, like all those cues, but it's more about the individual of tapping into that mindset on the belief. When they start to believe something, then they start to actually recognizing that they can do they can pose, because a lot of my women, they'll come to me and it's a fish out of water. It's literally learning a new language. They've never done any of this before, but the first biggest thing for me is just letting them to understand how they feel about something, because why wouldn't they? Going up on stage and then not knowing how to feel, like, when they can stand out, when they nail it. And when they nail it, it's because they enjoy it.
And like you said, you're going through prep. Obviously,
Yeah.
you're building this body up. You're sacrificing so much, and in some cases, a lot of stuff. you want to put that posing work in so that you can present it in the most beautiful and elegant way possible, so that, you know, as you said, it is a sport, it is a spectator sport.
Definitely.
Not just for the judges, but also for the crowd. You know, people do come out to watch.
Yeah.
And when you put on a great show and you have that caliber up there, you know, as a show watcher, as a crowd member, it's phenomenal to see, because there's also that element where all the competitors start to feed off each other. When you've got such a high standard, that bar starts going up and up, and it's just such an
it's
exhilarating
exciting.
moment. Yeah.
And they get, essentially they're all getting paid to be watched. So it's a performance. So you have to make sure that, you're bringing that standard.
Yeah.
I think for the I walk, it's, as an athlete, if any athletes are listening to this, it's your opportunity to make an initial impression on the judges. And what I've seen from, you know, where I am, which is right on the side of the stage, I call your name out, is they're watching and they start to like make a note of some people who in the I walk, they were like, that was something I wanted to look at. And half of that is the physique, but a lot of the time it's the person that they couldn't take their
Captivate
eyes off because it was individualized, like the big smile, the not looking down, no drop shoulders, a little bit of flair in the transition. They're the things that if I'm on that table, I'm like, oh, that athlete was interesting. I'm going to write that number down because I want to have a look at them next to somebody else. The one thing like you were talking about before about, you know, you'd know if it was opposing Queen's client. I would if they were in their symmetry, but I wouldn't in the I walk. And that just shows that it should be individualized in the I walk. It needs to feel good. If you're going to push someone into doing a routine that doesn't come to them naturally, you're going to know.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like the turns, you know, you can be a little bit more pushy in how the turns happen, but the I walk does need to be personal. And at the end of the day, like I've not seen anyone who's walked out there with a really, you know, really positive, you know, attitude, but with a really high chest position. Looks like they're happy to be there, not like, oh God, I've just prepped for 30 weeks and I don't want to be on this stage. Go out and light that thing up. And
Lock it in, yeah.
100%. So, you know, Timsy, who's side stage, who will be the person that tells them when to go, just before they walk out, one by one, all day long, he'll do this 200 times. He gives them this, you know, this little pep talk is like, there's a show going on, but everybody's here for you. I want you to go out there. I want you to lift that chin. I want you to take a deep breath and go out there and dominate that stage. And it makes a difference. You just see the posture lift up a little bit, and that first stride's always got a little bit more flair in it. But you know what? No judge or no spectator has ever been, you know, felt let down by watching somebody who is happy to be on that stage.
It makes a difference. Yeah, it makes a difference when they generally feel like as if it
They want to be there.
They want to be there and show it off. Yeah.
Some of my favourite competitors over the years, you know, amongst some of the incredible winners, have been, you know, people that have placed third and fifth, but I just remember their energy that day. That person stuck with me for 5 years. So, yeah, don't think as a competitor that part isn't important, because you can still leave an incredible impression.
Well, I think that's a good segue into what do you both, and this question to both of you, see as the future in the next 3 to 5 years of natural bodybuilding in Australia and Asia Pacific? Like, how do you see that going? Because we're seeing it's becoming more and more recognized at a global stage. There's a lot more focus on it. People are actually realizing that this is a sport that is legitimately something that you can do. Because like I can tell you, like when I show some of my friends and people that I know the Ray's transformation from where he was 2 years ago to where he is today, and they're like, there's no way that he's completely natural. And I was like,
his forearm's like the size of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Whoa, chill out, Victor. Chill out.
Have a look at that.
All right, I can hide my forearms.
It's a compliment.
so like, where do you see the sport moving in the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, I think this year's been a really good insight as to how big it's getting, but still how much potential it has. If you look at the mid-year season, so we were the first one to do an official mid-year winter season last year, where we had 2 stage shows at a nationals and gave out the first pro card. This year, our nationals, which was on the Gold Coast, was double what it was the year before.
Wow.
So I think we had 37 or 38 in 2025, and we had 80.
Damn.
Wow.
Now, IFBB had 160.
Wow.
So that's how many,
Still,
you know,
yeah.
I'll say natural competitors there were for that mid-year. Now, we're in every state, but a lot of those states still have a lot of growth potential. And we're in Bali, we're in Indonesia, we do a show in China. There's so many markets that, you know, we would and will eventually like to venture into, but not at the expense of Australia not being perfect. So for us, we're going to continue to invest our time, energy and resources and money into making, you know, natural bodybuilding in Australia the best it is. You know, I'm thinking 2-day shows in every state before you start to look at going outside of that, because the athletes are there. It's getting bigger and bigger. Yes, there's some quieter seasons, and sometimes, you know, if you ask anyone who's been around, they'll say season C is the big one. A is a little bit smaller, and now winter's the smallest. But I've seen some massive A's and some reasonably quieter C's. You know, this C, again, speaking to other federations and directors at other federations, you know, the feedback is that so far it looks to be a little bit quieter, but everyone always says that every year too. So we'll just see. But there's so much growth to be had, and I think if you ask me where I thought it was, I feel like the sport is just hitting its straps again, and the next 3 to 5 years are going to be huge.
Oh, that's awesome. What about you, Shaz?
I agree. I mean, like having the women come in for posing each season or even for future seasons. So I have women now getting ready for 2027, whether that's A, mid-year or C. The introductory to the sport has risen again. So it's nice to see a pool of women and men coming through for posing or either coaching, but it's also nice that it's going to continue to grow. I think the workshops help because the introductory to the posing workshops allows everyone to understand the sport better. So if anyone's listening to this, that workshops are there for you to learn. And even if you haven't stepped on stage, the requirement is you need to go to one.
Yeah.
You need to go to a workshop, you need to go to a show, you need to sit in the audience, you need to be in all angles of bodybuilding and not just in the gym or cooking your meals. Like, I don't think that's bodybuilding. I think you have to have an emphasis of allowing yourself to be a part of the whole journey. And that includes attending, again, days like this or shows that are coming up, that if you were to attend or wanting to be on one stage, that you've sat in that audience.
Yeah.
So
That's
I
great
think
advice.
more so, if I were to say what could happen in the future is allow everyone to keep coming to the shows and the workshops, because that will then help them.
I can attest to that, you know, like with Nas, you know.
Yeah.
She attends, my wife, she attends the posing workshops and, you know, currently
She's
right
not
now
even competing.
she's not even competing.
She's not even competing.
And, you know, it's just phenomenal because, like I said, you know, she comes to the shows, she's part of the community, making that effort. It also allows her own personal fitness journey to just be so much more enjoyable.
And stronger.
And stronger because you're getting all these facets, all these enjoyable facets of physical transformation. It's not just cooking in the kitchen and doing your reps. It's like understanding how your body can be posed, enjoying the work that you put into yourself and seeing it in the mirror for yourself. I think that's what, you know, a beauty in the workshops. And I think sometimes people think it's only for competitors.
That's right.
Because generally that's what they see. They see most individuals are just like, you know, they're a couple of weeks out, they go for their workshops, and then people are like, oh, I can't go next to them. But, you know, making that effort, no matter where you're at in that journey, it's beautiful.
And I would probably say surrounding themselves with individuals who are like-minded in the sport is something that you don't often see. So for us hosting workshops, I don't do the group workshop, like the group classes. I think they're a little bit like everyone has lives, so everyone's like busy every weekend. But for a workshop, you know, 2 to 3 times a year, it's like that's when you can come in, meet everyone, and you might even meet some of your idols. Like I know I met a few of mine in other workshops. So I was like, oh my God, I've seen that bodybuilder. Oh my God, she looks amazing. And she spent the time to just chat with me and talk about posing or talk about nutrition or give me just a little bit of insight in her journey. But that left me going, oh my God, like that's amazing. I want to come back, or I want to see her when I get up on stage.
And it demystifies it because, you know, for the outside eye looking in, they could see that as very jarring. Obviously, everybody's potentially posing dressing in their attire for show day, etc. And, some people can look at that and just write it off. But like you said, you break through that initial mist and then start speaking and start talking. You can find lifelong friends there. You can find your mentors where you least expect it.
That's right.
Even though your journey might be just starting out or just in the middle of it, ultimately you got to think everybody that's upstairs, that's, going through their posing routines, they started on the same journey you did. They're just further along it. So,
I can't tell you, your wife is already so far ahead. I can't tell you how many competitors get to show day and haven't attended a workshop. And then it's like deer in the headlights. Like when we're giving instructions, it's like, whoa, this is real now. Versus the ones who, one of the greatest joys is seeing someone who's like 2 years out. That's like, oh, I'm not sure if I'm going to, and then you see them 2 years later at the show and they're like, it's me.
Yeah,
they did
knocked
it
it out of the park.
But they've done 5 workshops
That's
in
right.
that 2 years and they're so ready for it versus someone who does all the training and the nutrition side so well, but then just doesn't give the priority to the posing workshops. Everybody should do a workshop if you're going to compete at a show. You should also go to a show, but do a workshop because most people haven't actually, posed in front of anyone other than themselves ever. Well, and even then, sometimes it's just a check-in photo.
That's it.
Where you get to take the perfect photo, right? Whereas when we put you through an eye walk in front of 11 people, it's like, hey, you're going to do it in front of 200 at nationals.
That's right.
So today's the day to do it. But even talking about making connections, I always say at the start of every workshop is if there's someone who you don't know today, try and meet them because it can be a bit of an individual sport. It can be lonely at times. And I've even had workshops where, there's a pro who's there, who's maybe doing the pro show, and someone who's started their journey because they love that pro is there.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my God, that's the
starstruck moment.
Starstruck moment.
And then they actually connect, and now they chat on Instagram all the time, and it's like, it's because of the workshop. You wouldn't have done that otherwise.
Correct.
So it's
correct.
a big
wonderful.
necessity. It should, if there was a way, you would make it mandatory. You would make it mandatory.
I think maybe NBA could start that and be like, hey guys, you
I'm
need to
going on the
attend a
website
workshop.
right now.
Feedback form right there. Exactly. Industry feedback.
Make these mandatory.
What it does is it just guarantees exposure to a high, an environment that's going to very much replicate what show day is going to be like. If I'm at the workshop, you're going to hear it called out exactly how it's going to be called out on show day. You're going to pose in front of at least a group of a handful of people. You're going to do maybe 1 to 2 eye walks. You're going to be compared multiple times. You're going to do exactly what you're going to do on show day. How do you not want that experience?
That's what I
absolutely.
say. That's what I say. I said, especially when you were coming for this particular workshop, I said no other person would be better than having yourself come in.
It's going to be identical to the show day.
Exactly. Just picture yourself on stage. And you're on stage.
Well, I think, Ray, you had a question that you wanted to ask Michael that we were talking about when we were prepping for this workshop.
I'm always curious. Do you practice the names how many nights before do you practice all the athletes' names? Because the enunciation of them are picture.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. I don't take a crazy amount of time, but I take a lot of pride in getting it right.
You do?
And if there's one that I'm not sure of, I'll ask and I will practice it.
Yeah.
And then just before they walk out, I'll repeat it to them. I'm like, hey, it's Schwarzenegger, right?
Screw that one up.
But the benefit I have is being Italian. So
Well, you said Victoria's surname very well. And I even have that pictured in my mind when you said her surname was Geraci. Is that pronouncing?
is it Geraci?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
But people might say,
rolling off the
yeah,
tongue.
because there's a C in it. So people not.
Yeah, they say Geraci.
Gerace.
Yeah.
They say Gerace.
Oh, not Gerace.
Yeah,
No.
Gerace. Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, they call it Gerace.
Gerace.
If I heard Gerace.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do make sure that I get it right. I'll double and triple check it. And then I'll try and have some fun with it too. It's like I'll get it right and I'll do it with flair.
You do. I've heard that. You've done it with such flair sometimes. I
have this thing. It's like if you're coming, you're investing 30 weeks, right? You've got a coach, you've got a posing coach. You're probably sacrificing time away from family. The least I can do is get your name right.
Yeah, that's very fair.
So, Michael, tell us about a moment that's like the funniest moment that stands out when you were emceeing that you saw backstage happening as the show was going.
Well, what about a competitor that I called their name, which means time to go, right as a bikini strap
No.
On the bottom popped off. But you know what's amazing? This kind of feeds back to exactly what you were saying before. I don't think it was the Mommas Division, but the Mommas Division was next.
Right.
You've never seen a handful of more supportive athletes and Timsy, who, you know, we're covering, they're running back, they're getting clips. I think it was sorted in less than 90 seconds.
Wow.
Now, if that was in any other environment, that would have been a 5 to 7 minute job.
Yeah.
And I don't even think the crowd would have noticed.
That's so cool.
That's beautiful.
That's amazing.
So
Just question for you.
Yeah.
Post a show, what is your go-to cheat meal?
Oh, my go-to cheat meal. Oh, it's been a while since I've been on stage, but the only thing I can really picture, if everyone knows me, is a chocolate chip cookie.
We needed to get that into the
I have
podcast.
to. I mean, like, if anyone wants to buy me a chocolate chip cookie.
and I wonder if I
we're
would.
taking funding. There's going to be a link.
But there's always one, you know. So I would say that would be my one.
What about you, Michael?
I'm not a big like food-driven person. I think most of my life being reasonably skinny. and
As an
having-
Italian, you're not.
Yeah. Well, this is
As
the
an
thing.
Italian.
Oi.
But this is the thing.
Nonna,
I grew up on
not
pasta.
happy
I
with
grew up
you.
on pasta 3 to 5 days a week.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was fortunate enough to have it, and my metabolism's one that to put on weight, I have to eat an excessive amount of food. Like at the moment, I've been growing for a little while, and I don't get away with weight holding under 800 grams of carbs, right? Which is sickening. If you do it for a year straight, it's terrible. So for me, pizza would still be the
Number one.
go-to.
Number one.
But you know, often after a show, and I'm sure you felt this as well, it's like I just want a cream of rice bowl that's 200 grams, not 80. Like that
You're
sort,
right,
that
you're
sort
right,
of like
yeah.
I want a 25 to 30 gram tablespoon of peanut butter, not 20 or 15.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the measurements change. Yeah, a lot of it, I think, from memory, is like just a banana with like oats. Like it's just, and it's the volume. It's just the volume that changes. It really is. Yeah.
Whereas yesterday I had cream of rice 4 times,
Oh, wow.
200 grams in each. Like that's the point I'm at now. So it's like food is the last thing that I could think of to want to eat. But again, context is always important. At the end of a dieting phase, I know for a lot of people, it's like, what is going to be that first thing? Whereas we on stage, we try not to talk about it because it's like we're not trying to put that in their heads.
Yeah.
So that's why if you have a look like at NBA, like you would never have seen a sponsor backstage that is like food based.
That's true.
Yeah, you're
And the
right.
reason that is because we've had many offers. You know, I do the sponsorships part, but I'm trying to create an environment for them that's not going to set them up for failure by walking off stage and having all these things there that the sponsors
Indulgent.
have given.
Yeah.
So you will never see one at an NBA show.
That's really
That's
nice.
why.
Yeah, that's really good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we have a question for you.
Oh.
This right here happens to be the first ever NBA trophy.
That's crazy.
Okay.
Actually, I'll tell you a story. Well, you will know this story, but about Graydon. So you know, I can't remember what year it was, but it was a long time ago.
2019.
No, not that. Long before
longer
that.
than-
Oi.
Yeah.
So Michael Trimboli, who's one of the co-directors, and also my best friend, he's told a story about someone asked on our podcast, you know, what's a moment that you were kind of like in awe or starstruck? Do you remember that
I
conversation?
do remember that conversation.
And I can't remember what show it was, but I think it was in 2010 or 9.
Maybe.
So, yeah. Anyway,
I'm throwing it back.
So this is, you know, one of the most highly recognised coaches in the industry at the moment. You know, as many natural pro athletes as anyone. And he tells a story of that moment walking into, I can't remember what Fed it was. It might have been A&B back then.
Yep.
And he was doing bodybuilding, and he remembers seeing Graydon pumping up
Backstage.
and just being like, whoa, holy shit. And that, and you know, he's got a history of success in this sport, and he talks about that moment, which would have been the answer. If you had asked him a question you asked me earlier, that would have been that moment of like, he remembers that day just being like, yeah, this is what I want to do. And it was watching Graydon pump up backstage.
There you go.
That was, you know, one of his incredible defining moments. And then, so which kind of leads and segues to that is how full circle moment that then all those years later,
Yeah.
Literally.
that would be the first one handed out, and Michael would then be a director of NBA. It's like it's such a crazy thing.
Backstage when when Graydon won, like there was a photo of him and Michael having that photo.
That's
so I have that photo.
Do you?
Yeah, when we do this, I'll add it to the.
Do you really? I'd love
we
to
have
see
that.
it.
Yeah,
That's
backstage,
crazy.
and it was just a moment backstage with him and Graydon. It was really nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it also
Really
just
nice.
shows how Graydon has. That's a long time ago.
Oh,
Yeah.
16 years ago, but how does he? What does he do? How does he continue to just look so amazing? But it's just a testament to, time passing, and if you're willing to just stay consistent and do the work, shows you what's on the table.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And having the best wife behind you to support
Oh,
you.
thank you.
Nice plug,
Let's never
nice plug.
forget
Oh,
that.
thank you. I mean, well, Fawaz, you want to talk about the trophy?
No, what I wanted to do was ask the question about how did we go from this to the most recent trophy to that? What is the evolution process that you had in mind going from that to this?
Yeah, well, I wasn't around when that evolution happened. I quite like that.
Do you want me to tell you a little bit about
I quite
this?
like that. Can you pass it over? Because I actually really like
I'm not
it.
touching
he's
it.
not touching it,
I'm not
but
touching
you can grab it.
Ray has a
Juju thing.
Juju
I
thing.
think I can because
Yeah, you can.
So Graydon had a chat with Stu back then, and the NBA directors, and he had some really nice words to say. Let's do this particular trophy. This is about old school bodybuilding. This is what trophies should look like, and that was the overall title.
why didn't we continue with this?
I don't know. I'm like, bring it back.
It's beautiful.
It is
This-
beautiful. Yeah, it's like an antique. It.
And if you're interested, we actually have a member. He was here earlier who actually has a business that does trophies like that.
Well, off air, I'll show you
Yeah,
something that
yeah.
I've been toying with.
Oh.
So maybe
cool.
this is
Oi.
Oh, we're
Yeah.
gonna get a look into some super secret
This-
stuff.
this has vascular legs. Vascular legs. I think,
It was modeled after Graydon's.
obviously. No, I mean, if it was great and it
No,
would
you
have had
need deep.
glute striations.
Yeah, you need deeper insertion.
Doesn't have a rib cage in his ass. If it had a rib cage in the ass, it definitely would have been. But actually, you know what? For me, this is actually phenomenal. You can see I'm getting all.
Yeah.
This is like so. Well, it's kind of nostalgic, but it's also for me a really great representation of what this is all about. And I think, don't be surprised if we're
To
sitting
go
here.
with that, this is also the first pro card that you guys
Yeah,
ever issued.
I did say that one before, which this has also changed now. So now we've got these digital.
Digital
We've got
cards.
them digital, which just means that as a pro, you can rock up to an event, get your Apple Wallet out, and be like,
Yeah.
it's pretty cool.
Technology.
It's an all-access pass, but this would have also been,
Nostalgia.
forward thinking at the time. We talk about 7 years ago, but it just shows how much the sport's evolved. We're talking about digital pro cards now,
Yeah.
that you can flash at entry. But yeah, I don't think anything beats this, to be honest. There's a big part of me that
Yeah, so
wants,
maybe there's
that wants to
something-
go back to this right
That's
now.
right. Yeah.
And the medal as well. It's just so, like even
Yeah.
the medals now, they've obviously evolved a lot. Our actually pro medals, which you would have a couple here.
Yeah.
They're rectangles.
The rectangles. Yeah.
Yeah, and they've got the crown on them. But yeah, this is, you heard it here
I think
first.
they
Actually,
should be
they're
up
hanging.
here. Yeah, right there.
Yeah. That's a little bit
NBA,
older,
NBA.
though.
Yeah,
Yep.
But the one that he won at the pro show.
Oh,
just-
that's the one behind me. There.
It's there.
Yeah,
Yes.
behind the sash.
Yeah, that was one of the greatest battles on us pros like that. I think I said on the microphone before they announced the winner, I said, I just want to say how much of a privilege that contest was to watch. Is what I said, because it was so good. It was a 9 or 10 classic physique pros,
Yeah,
and it was
literally.
just. Yeah, it was such a special day. I think I had goosebumps for an hour straight. So
Ray, do you want to grab that?
Nope.
Bring that over
Nope.
here?
what?
It's
what?
so good.
So,
Wait,
I want- no, but
wait,
just how does it feel just to be next to you?
It feels great. I'm not gonna lie. There's an aura coming off it.
Yeah,
But
you feel it,
it's a
right?
high standard.
Michael Ray is competing end of next year.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So classic is what he's entering.
I'm gonna come up with something to announce you as.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
we can,
Yeah,
we
I'll
can-
say
we
like
can look into the
forearms Ray. Like,
But in reality, if you do want to use it, he calls himself Speedy. As
No.
Speedy,
Oh well,
his name is
that's
Gonzalez.
on my jersey.
Speedy?
Yes. Yeah,
Speedy.
Speedy. But my last name's Gonzalez, so,
So-
Speedy Gonzalez.
Speedy
that's
Gonzalez.
great. I would wear that like a badge of honor. That's.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I would get that tattooed here.
Whoa. No tattoos on the body.
Well, so-
I want it
Well,
pristine.
my name's Michael Angelo on my birth certificate.
Oh wow.
Really?
So So hence,
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we saw that. I saw that in one of the episodes with you and the boys where you got the Michelangelo toy, and then
Oh,
where
wow.
he was saying Cowabunga.
yeah, I do collect. I got
TMNT
Ninja Turtle collection.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I got one from 1987, the year I was born. It's the exact doll that I played with as a kid growing up. Not the exact one because I ruined mine because I was a boy, but
you
a
found
replica in
That's
its box.
awesome.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Well, continuing with this, let's talk a little bit about ballet. And now that's the
Yes.
future that you're looking at. Michelangelo is
Yes.
going to be doing some ballet.
yeah, my 2-year-old Talia, she just started ballet. It's the sweetest thing. I think as a parent, whatever hobby or interest your child gets into, it's so easy to just be like,
Enamored by it.
yeah. And then if you have a brain like mine, which is just like, I wear my heart on my sleeve, I'm full of passion. It's like, we're going to do this ballet to the full extent that ballet can be done. My wife sent me a message, can you go to H&M and get like this one,
Leotard.
yeah, with a tutu. I think I came home with 5. Only one was for her, the other 4 were for me, obviously, because we do everything to the full extent. But
Yeah.
it's just such a blessing. And I think for me, when they were both born, Elodie's only 12 weeks old, but being a girl dad as well, there was something that just happened where I was like, okay, everything I do from this moment on, I just need to do it better. Because I have this, desire to show them purely, out of wanting them to just have a life filled with opportunity, but also, to know how to overcome challenges. I want to show them that, it's important to treat people well, but like you should chase after, things that are difficult. And I hope that there are some hurdles, because hurdles have just been where I've learned everything that's made me what I am today.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Some questions for both of you. Describe in one word the feeling that you would, because you've competed as well, the feeling that you got getting off of the stage after having a successful show. One word.
One word.
Ooh. Tired.
Hungry.
Depleted.
I know what I want to say.
Angry.
Hungry, but not in the food sense. Hungry in the to be better sense.
Yeah, I can
Like,
agree with you.
That was so good, but I'm ready to get version 2.0 or 3.0, like the desire to just get back in the trenches and bring that next better package. So
I would relate to that in the early days of our career of bodybuilding, like you did the one show and then you're like ready to go into the next one. But with my last show in particular, I would probably say grateful. Yeah, grateful because I had a last chapter in certain federations that I know I will no longer return. And that just felt like, I think, grateful is where I'm going to leave myself. I haven't hung up my heels. Like, I'd love to do NBA. I know I haven't, announced anything in my return, but that's something I would love to.
what about if we change this?
Yeah. Please do. Please do. It would entice me than the crown, for sure. I think because I'm the old school bodybuilder, I would want one of those in my room. So,
All right, we're doing it.
There you go.
Yeah, grateful.
Well, thank you so much, both of you, for
Appreciate
coming
this.
here
Thank
today. It was a great chat, and I think we had a lot of fun. Before we close off, Michael, anything that you can tell us about what's coming up for the NBA that you want to shout out to everyone who's listening?
Yeah, so we've got some exciting things happening. A lot of changes around things that are already existing, but some maybe new, fresh changes. Maybe one of them, but
We're definitely having a new award.
along that line. But from us, what you're not going to see is a backward step on quality. The venues are going to stay as the best venues. We're going to continue to invest in production. We're going to continue to invest in all the things that we know have brought the brand up. And we're still open to athletes and coaches' feedback. So continue to put it in, because I promised you that, we are listening and we do take action.
All right. Well, we're going to close off.
Yeah. Let's start.
Yo,
It's all
yo.
about the iron and the grind, natural bodybuilding, leaving no games behind, no shortcuts, no fakes, just sweating raw mic. Every rep, every set, I'm fighting for the light. From the first pull up to the final deadlift strain, it's a journey of discipline, washing out the pain, fueling up clean, letting nature take its course, building up the body, tapping in the inner force. This ain't just about muscle, it's about a mindset, pushing past the limits, no room for regret. Mic it up, yeah. Mic it up for the light.